What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are comparing the GoPro 9 to the GoPro 10 and of course to the GoPro 11. This way you're going to be able to see the differences in between the three action cameras. So we're going to be splitting this video into three sections. The first section has to do the internal microphones inside these three action cameras. So we'll figure out which one picks up the sound better. The second section has to do the image stabilization. So I'm going to be doing some walking, some running, some biking, so we can figure out the differences for image stabilization from all three action cameras. And the last section will have to do with the video quality. So I'm going to show you footage at different resolutions just so you get an idea how each camera captures video basically. And with that being said, let's begin by checking out some sample recordings so we can figure out which camera has the better internal microphone. Alright, so we have our first audio test outdoors between the GoPro 9, the GoPro 10 and of course the GoPro 11. We have a super sunny day out today, but also a bit windy, so you may hear some wind aside from my voice. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second with all three action cameras, and I also have the fields of view set to wide on all three action cameras. I'm gonna start walking for a bit just so you can see how all three cameras basically capture sound, if there is some movement, if there is some wind whenever you're walking and so on. So yeah, this is how the GoPro 9, the GoPro 10 and the GoPro 11 would capture sound if you're outdoors on a super sunny day but a bit windy. Next, let's move on and do another microphone test indoors. Alright, so we have our next audio test indoors. I'm currently in a super quiet room, so the only thing you should hear is my voice. Of course, I'm using the GoPro 9, the GoPro 10 and the GoPro 11. On the GoPro 11 and the GoPro 10 we are recording in 5.3K at 30 frames per second, where on the GoPro 9 we are recording in 5K at 30 frames per second, and I have the fields of view set to wide on all three action cameras. So this is how the three action cameras will capture sound indoors in a super quiet place. Alright, so I watched that about 6 times and I even put headphones on a couple of times to make sure that I'm not missing out on something. And they kind of sound the same, so the 11, the 10 and the 9, I couldn't really tell the difference for those microphone recordings. Have you guys heard anything else that was a bit different? Personally, I feel that they all sound the same. Alright, next we're gonna move on and check out some sample recordings so you can see which camera has the better stabilization. Of course, I have some sample recordings running, walking, biking and a bunch of other tests. So let's check those out and I will be right back. Okay, so for our first test for image stabilization, I'm gonna go ahead and start walking slow. I'm currently recording in 4K at 30 frames per second with all three action cameras, and I have the field of view set to wide. So we're gonna start walking slowly. I'm also trying to keep the cameras as steady as possible. We're gonna start walking a bit faster. And I'm also gonna start running. So let's see what happens when we run. I'm gonna turn suddenly, go back this way, and I'll turn around again and we'll walk slow again. So yeah, this is how the image stabilization works on these three action cameras. So I have them set to the maximum level of image stabilization. Okay, and we are gonna move on to our next test for image stabilization. For this recording, I'm recording in 4K at 60 frames per second with all three action cameras, and as you can see, I will be riding the bicycle. I have the field of view set to super view, and all the cameras are set to the maximum level of image stabilization available. So we'll try going a bit quick. We'll go right, back left, we'll go right again, left, and we're gonna turn right somewhere around here. And right once again. I'm actually gonna try going this way. Let's see if that works. And we'll go this way. And once again we'll turn left. and we'll turn right. So that's how the stabilization on these 3 action cameras would look like if you're riding a bicycle. Okay, we are moving on to our next test for IMI stabilization. For this test, I have the resolution set to 4K at 30 frames per second and the field of view set to linear and horizon leveling. So I'm gonna start doing some running and some more sudden movements so we can see how all 3 action cameras perform. So we'll start walking this way, I mean running. We'll go this way, we'll turn right. We'll turn around. And this way once again. So yeah, 4K 30 frames per second, GoPro 9, 10 and 11, linear and horizon leveling. Okay, and I also wanted to show you how the stabilization works if you are walking and talking in front of the camera. Let's say that maybe you are vlogging and you're basically talking in front of the camera. You may even run. So let's go for a bit of a run, just so you can see how that works. Basically, if you're filming yourself. So we'll go this way, and I'm gonna walk once again. So yeah, I am recording in 5.3K on the GoPro 11 and 10 and 5K on the GoPro 9, and I have the field of view set to wide. Alright, so the GoPro 9 already had really good stabilization. Then we got the 10 that was slightly better, and now we got the 11 that's also slightly better, but not a massive difference between the 11 and the 10. But the 10 was already really good, so you couldn't actually tell that you're walking in some situations whenever you're holding that camera. So the biggest difference, of course, you're gonna notice between the 11 and 9, but if you have the 10, you're not really gonna notice that big of a difference with the 11. Alright, so next we're gonna move on and check out some more sample recordings that I've done at different resolutions so we can see how the video quality between these 3 action cameras is. So let's check out those recordings and I will be right back. Next we have a recording done in 5.3K on the GoPro 11 and the 10 at 30 frames per second and a field of view set to wide. And on the GoPro 9 we have 5K at 30 frames per second and once again the field of view set to wide. Let's just get close to the water here. 4K 30 super view on the GoPro 9, the GoPro 10 and of course the GoPro 11. Alright, for our next quick test between the 9, 10 and 11, we are recording in 5K with the GoPro 9, 5.3K with the GoPro 10 and 11. The field of view is set to wide and as you can see for yourself, I am riding the bicycle. I also have the level of stabilization set to maximum on all 3 action cameras. I just wanted to show you how the footage would look like if you are riding the bicycle on a super sunny day. We have another quick recording between the GoPro 9, the GoPro 10 and of course the GoPro 11. Once again I am riding on the bicycle. I have the field of view set to wide and we are currently recording in 4K at 60 frames per second. I'm also gonna turn the cameras towards myself just so you can see how the footage looks if you're basically filming yourself. So let's try doing that. So yeah, 4K at 60 frames per second and the field of view set to wide. 4K 30 super view on the 9, 10 and 11. Okay, so around here we have a combination of sunshine and shade. I've also switched the resolution to 1080p at 60 frames per second. I know that some people do like 1080p. Personally, I would only record in 4K, but for those of you that want to see how a 1080p at 60 frames per second recording looks like, I'm including this sample as well. I also have the field of view set to wide on all three action cameras, so the 9, the 10 and the 11. So yeah, 1080p at 60 frames per second between these three action cameras. Okay, and for our last daytime recording we have 4K at 30 frames per second on the 9, 10 and 11, and the field of view set to super view. We'll walk this way, so kind of towards the sun, and we'll head this way. I guess I'm gonna stop here and pan right slowly. And back left. So yeah, super view, 4K at 30 frames per second on the three GoPros. Alright, so for video quality this year I did notice a bigger difference between the 11, 10 and of course the 9. So now the footage that we get from the 11 is more grown up, I'm gonna say. So first of all, those colors aren't as crazy saturated as they were in the past. So all cameras are set to the color profile called vibrant. So all three of them for all the recordings that you've seen. And you've probably noticed that the 11 doesn't have that crazy saturation that we used to get with the 10. But the biggest difference and the biggest change and the best change, I'm gonna say, has to be the dynamic range in those recordings. So now you can see more in the darker parts of recordings basically. So if you're recording in a sunny place, you can see more in the shade in the recordings done by the 11. So I think that's the biggest change that we got with the 11 this year. So you can definitely tell there is a massive difference now between the 11 and the 9. Not so big between the 10 and the 11, but still I prefer the footage from the 11. Okay, let me show you a quick recording that I've done at night, just so you can see how all three cameras record in low light. Alright, so we have the GoPro 9, GoPro 10 and GoPro 11 recording in 4K at 30 frames per second with a field of view set to wide on all three action cameras. Now, we do have some street lights around here, but of course action cameras don't do that great in low light. So I'm just gonna walk this way. We have a bit more light around here, just so you can see how all three cameras perform. And from what I'm seeing on the screens here, I feel that the GoPro 10 does the best out of the three, of course, but we'll have to see how this footage actually looks on the computer. So we'll pan right slowly. And back left, I guess. So yeah, low light recordings between the GoPro 9, GoPro 10 and GoPro 11. Alright, so nighttime recordings. Let's be real here. For nighttime recordings, no action camera will do great no matter what, because the sensors in these action cameras are pretty small. It's the same for phones, it's the same for cameras. Now, when you have one of these small sensors, it cannot get enough light. So personally, I wouldn't use any action camera to record at night, but you've seen how the footage looks, just in case you're wondering. So there you have it, the GoPro 11, the GoPro 10 and the GoPro 9. As I said earlier, now I do see a difference for the video quality that we get from the 9, mostly because dynamic range in that footage is better and the colors aren't that crazy saturated as before. So yes, you will get better video recordings, better quality of videos compared to the 10 and of course the 9. Alright guys, hopefully this video was useful. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.